Alright guys, welcome back. Now this is the fourth video, and in this video we're going to do something a little more fancier with the already existing program. In the previous video, if you see, we stopped it over here, and when I ran this code it works fine, right? But if I were to give some garbage value, when a triangle that is not possible, like something like 3 minus for 0.5, it starts giving me some garbage values like this, right, for area and perimeter. This is not the case. This is not how it should print. Why we're getting this errors is because we are not checking the validity of these inputs. So to check the validity of the inputs and to make sure these work fine, we have to do a little bit of tweaking, right? So for that we're going to use the if statement, right? First things first, what's an if statement? If statement is like a condition. Like if we say that a certain condition is true, do this. It's like if this condition is true, do this, else if the else do that. It's kind of like that. So what you say is like the semantic, or else the syntax for if statement is like this: if some condition is true, so you put some statements over here to do what you do. Otherwise what you do is else. You put else, and you set a new, you give some kind of things that you want to do over here, right? That's how you go about with it. That said, if you want to go further, what you can do, you can also add something called as elif and check for a new condition, something like this, condition 2, and if that works out, you can tell it to do something, tell the computer to do something else, right? So it's usually called as else if, but in Python it's written as elif. I don't know, I think it's the Guido van Rossum's idea, the founder of Python's idea to do it like this. Anyway, that's another point. The point here is, if you have a condition and if that particular condition is satisfied, and you can execute certain statements that you write below it. And if this condition is not satisfied and you want to check a new condition, then you do something over here and check it like this. And that's how you go. And if none of these conditions are working and you want some default set of statements to be executed when none of these conditions are working, you put it over here. And also, in cases in the future you'll notice that you can have just if statement, or just an if-else statement, or you can just have an if-else statement with just one elif or many elifs. That's all possible. Now based on the case, we'll work accordingly. Now what we'll do is, let's actually write this condition. Wait, where am I? Yeah. First things first. First we need to check if all these values are actually greater than 0. Right? So if we say if a greater than 0, that's not the only thing. If we want to check if b is also greater than 0, right? So how do you say b greater than 0? We have to say a and b and c, all the three should be greater than 0, right? So what I'm going to put it as a greater than 0, and b greater than 0, and c greater than 0. If only this condition is true, that means that our triangle is correct, right? So what I do is that only when these three are correct, we'll just have to execute these statements. To tell that these statements have to be executed, when this if condition is true, you put a tab. The moment you put a tab, what you're actually essentially saying to the computer is that, hey, you know what, if this if statement is true, run all these statements with this one particular tab if this if statement is true. That's all there is to do it, right? And if you break away from the tab, for instance, if you put something like this, then you're telling to the Python interpreter that, you know what, hey, only these statements have to be executed by if statement if the condition is true. Otherwise, and after that, you stop it. Yeah, so usually in other programming languages, you have parentheses to indicate that this particular bunch is actually a part of the program and all of that. Not in Python. In Python, you go with indentations like this. This will actually in Guido van Rossum's idea, this will actually make sure that people write cleaner code to debug and work and all of that. I hope that is the case. Let's see. So now you put this, it works. It will work fine. Now this is one preliminary test. There might be other issues. We'll check it out. Now we run. If we say something like 3. You give something like 3 minus 4, 5. It just said nothing. It said something like this: process finished with exit code 0, nothing. Why? That means that if this is true, we're telling it to print, but if this is true, it's telling it to print. But you see, 3 minus 4, 5. All these statements are correct. All these statements are wrong, right? So this one of these statements blew up, so it came like this. So what it means, let's put an else statement over here and try something and check this out. We'll say something like print your inputs are invalid. You'll just put this in this part in brackets because maybe one or more values are invalid. Now this way you'll have an idea what's exactly happening. So let me run this again. I'll give the same values, 3 minus 4 and 5, and it says your inputs are invalid. Perfect, because I think it tried to check A, that was fine, greater than 0, B, nope. So since this is wrong, this entire statement is false, so busted. We are busted over there. So this condition became false, and none of these statements are executed, and now automatically comes to the else statement, right? So now what we do is now this program is working fine. Now let's give some other value, like say 6, 7, and let's say 2. Now we notice something funny. Are we noticing something funny? No, this is working fine because you see 6, 7 and 2, they actually make a good triangle, so you have an area and all of that, that's all fine. So this works out fine. If at all we enter something stupid like a negative value and all, this won't work out, that's fine. Now here I'm actually going to test this out and say 9, 1, 1. This is not a triangle. I know this is not a triangle, right? because of which we got the perimeter fine, but we are getting garbage values over here. Now why is that? Our program should work, right? Turns out we missed something. The sides of a triangle should not only be greater than 0. There's one more important thing that actually makes a triangle. What is that? The triangle inequality. That is, if we add any two sides, that sum of any two sides should be greater than the third side, right? We didn't put that into our code, and that is why we're getting this error, because if you add these two sides, this is greater than that, that's fine. But if you add these two sides, 1 and 1, this is clearly less than this. They cannot form a triangle, right? So this is not a proper triangle, so we need to incorporate that into that. So what we can do here is we can put it here itself. We can just say, and how do you put it? A plus B greater than C, and let's say that's one condition. If that is it, no, you have to check for all three cases. So we say B plus C greater than A, and what else? You have to check A plus B, B plus C, C plus A. C plus A, and if I got an and over here, C plus A greater than, let's say, A, B, B over here. Now here's the thing, this should be greater than or equal to 0, so I'm going to put that equal to sign over here. This can be equal and still it will work, but if it's equal, it's not a triangle. I don't think it's a right triangle, it's a triangle if it's equal, but anyway, let's put this out and let us run this. And now if I enter the same value 9, 1, 1, it says the your inputs are invalid. Bingo, we got it. Now let's actually try to incorporate some triangles that are actually working. For instance, let's say 6, 8, okay, 9, 8, okay, maybe 7 should work. Let's see. Okay, 7 is working, that's alright. Now let's try some other one. Let's say, okay, wait, where am I typing now? Oh, sorry, I have to type here. 6, 8, and 10, and it's working fine. Brilliant. Then there we go. Now this way we not only learned how to make our program a little more fancier, we also learned how to use if-else statements over here. Very good. And with this our program is complete, and that's all I'm having you guys for this video. That's all I have for you guys in this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.